Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to do a comparison between the desktop experiences available currently on our Android 10.0 devices. I'm talking about specifically the DeX experience from Samsung, the Emui Desktop experience from Huawei/Honor, and of course, last but not least, the Android 10.0 desktop experience as currently available on the LG V60 with a custom launcher built into the device. This is TK. Let's go ahead and see the pros and cons of all of these different versions of desktop experiences today. And subscribe and always make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified whenever you have new videos on the channel. And before we get too far, I do want to mention to you guys that the keyboard and mouse that I'm using in this entire experiment is actually a combo that works directly really nicely with our device. It also has some Android shortcuts that work really nicely with our devices, specifically when you have them connected to an Android device. So let's say open up Recents, Home, and of course the back button, and of course some media controls. I'll leave you guys a link for that in the description below. And this actually does work via USB Type A, so we are going to be using an MHL adapter to connect this. You can use your own personal preference. My recommendation would be something that does support a USB Type A as well as power charge through. I did do a video for you guys on a Kickstarter campaign from the Zendur Power Hub that will work perfectly fine there, as I also did demo most of these functionalities in that video. Link for that will be in the description below as well. But the short answer essentially is that we're going to be testing it out on 3 different devices. We have the Galaxy S20 Ultra that we're going to be testing it out, although I did show you guys the S20, very much the same experience. And of course, we're going to be using the P40 Pro for the desktop experience for EMUI. Last but not least, we're going to be using the LG V60 for the desktop experience for Android 10.0. Although keep in mind, I'm aware that OnePlus devices do support the same functionality. I feel like OnePlus is basically has not enabled it by default. You have to force enable it, and then at that point, you do need to also basically install a secondary launcher that is a premium. So for an all-in-all out-of-the-box experience kind of thing, this is why I'm choosing the LG V60 mostly, but I do realize that other Android devices are also able to push the desktop experience out there. But we are going to talk about the limitations of all 3 of these ecosystems and of course the pros that come with all of them. So let's go ahead and start right away and see which one actually starts faring out best and which one do you feel like will work better for you. Now, obviously our devices will support screen mirroring. This is one of the functionalities that are needed for us to be able to actually have a desktop experience. So you're able to use the phone the same way you're normally able to. If you actually don't even need a mouse and keyboard, you can control it with your finger. You can swipe up to get into your applications, open up notifications. Of course, just normally launch applications that you used before. So here's TikTok, they're advertising for the Fortnite game. And of course, I can just basically swipe through, go home, open up Facebook, the same thing, all of the normal things that I normally expect to do with my desktop. Now, where it gets very interesting is that because this supports EMUI Desktop, you notice right there at the top, we have the ability of actually selecting that. So right now we're in phone mode, but if I click this button that says desktop mode, you notice right away we have EMUI Desktop launched. Now I have a keyboard and mouse connected here. This is a Logitech keyboard and mouse combo. The other thing I do want to mention to you guys is that EMUI Desktop is supported via wired and wireless mode, meaning the same experience that we're seeing here will be supported if I connect this to a monitor over Wi-Fi, meaning if your TV or your monitor supports MHL or basically mirror casting, you should be able to actually cast this to it. If not, you're actually just able to use, let's say, a standard Samsung device that supports, again, display mirroring. Now, for me, what I'm doing here is, again, I connected it through an MHL adapter so that I'm able to get a mouse and keyboard. If you have a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard option, this will also work for you if you're using this with the wireless option. But the main benefit, of course, is the ability of getting a desktop-like experience. And this is not the first generation or iteration of the EMUI Desktop. This has actually been updated over time. Now, we are running it on Android 10.0 with EMUI 10.1. So that's the main thing. This is the latest EMUI Desktop experience that we're able to get directly from Huawei. The actual app drawer is still present. We have gesture support. You're using the mouse pad that I'm using on this keyboard and mouse. And again, I'll share with you, as you guys saw at the beginning, that this actually combo is very, very nice. As long as your MHL adapter supports USB-A connection, this should work perfectly fine for you guys. So all the applications that are installed on my device are here. I'm also able to go into my notification panel, see if there's any new notifications, control my Wi-Fi, my Bluetooth, my data connection, as well as sound if I want to be able to disable or put it on vibration. Screenshot as well as screen recording is supported directly in here, and of course we can control the volume. The last thing I do want to mention to you guys is the ability of actually controlling where the audio is outputted to. So by default, it likes to send the audio with the video. So if I'm connected to a TV, this is going to work great. But since I'm connecting into my PC for the audio recording here, I'm actually able to switch back to mobile audio and allow the speaker on my phone to provide me the audio experience. Of course, you can keep it on auto, which means it will detect if the display or the connection that you're using does have audio output. It will stay there. If not, it will switch back to your smartphone. So for me, right now, I'm just going to go ahead and keep it on display device, mostly because I don't want it to play sound in the room and get captured with the microphone that I have here. And the last thing I do want to mention to you guys is that we do have the ability of controlling our home, recents, and back. So here it is. The recents application opens up all of our recents app, and you're able to select which app you're using, of course. I'm able to hit home, everything goes minimized. And I'm also able to use the Alt Tab functionality on my keyboard to switch between applications, and of course, whichever one I land on will end up being the one that opens up. So here would be the application, and I'm able to jump in. Let's say I want to be able to open up TikTok one more time, and of course, this will open it up there, and I'm also able to hit home and open up the search application. So a lot of shortcuts within the keyboard that I'm showing you guys today will work here, and of course are supported directly within Emui Desktop. Now, the other thing as far as the background, you're able to basically change a few things. You're able to change the wallpaper, refresh the actual UI, create a new folder, or adding a new file directly from your app drawer. You're also able to control the screen size if the screen is not aligned correctly with the display that you're using. And this will work also with wired or wireless. So keep in mind that, so medium is basically will shrink it down a little bit, and of course large will go higher. You do want to keep in mind that if you are going to use the Emui Desktop in a wireless mode, your TV needs to be on the same Wi-Fi connection as your phone, as well as the fact that your keyboard and mouse need to be Bluetooth enabled, not the way we're using this setup, which is with the Logitech keyboard and mouse connected to the MHL. We also do have a doodling application here to be able to use the mouse and just basically kind of start typing or kind of drawing. So you can select the thickness of the actual brush, you can erase, change the color, and of course just basically draw to your heart's content. And of course, if you want to just be able to draw TK, I'm not going to blame you. So here, T and K, winner, winner, winner. Very nice application. Again, you're also able to pin your applications to the bar, similar to what we can do in Windows, and of course just launch them the way you want them. Instagram works, YouTube as well. We'll talk a little bit about YouTube, but as far as Netflix does work. Not only that, it also works in full screen mode, which means we're able to actually play content directly in full screen. Let's go ahead and just start a quick video here for me to show you guys. So you notice the application stays in full screen. There's no need to resize, and the video will start. Audio and video work great, and you're able to also jump in between different things and skipping the intro. The main benefit of using this application, or the way the Emui Desktop works, is that it remembers all of the placements of my applications. So what I mean by this is here, I'll go ahead and open up TikTok. Last time I opened up TikTok in this environment, I basically pinned it to the top left, and it remembers it. Gestures are working here. I can jump through all of the different TikToks. Again, audio has been disabled here. We also have, of course, native support for Twitter, all the different applications that you normally want to be able to use. Gallery will also work in case you want to be able to take pictures of your cats, or of course take pictures of your son. And again, you can see the cameras are definitely really, really nice. What I do really appreciate is the ability of actually browsing the internet in basically full experience, desktop experience, browsing. So we'll open up the browser, and let's say I want to be able to go to, here it is, Google. I'll type in enter, it's going to search. So Google search is by default there. Or let's say we want to be able to jump into YouTube, as I think we kind of started talking about that at the beginning. So here it is, YouTube, and we'll say .com so that we don't go for the search, we'll go straight to the site. Desktop experience, YouTube, and of course, if you'd like to be able to check me out, here it is, TK Bay. Check it out. Make sure you like and subscribe. Shameless plug as usual. Full experience, normal stuff. Here's the video that I last posted on my channel talking about the Zendir full screen, basically the Super Hub as they're referring to it. I'll give it a second for the ad to go through, and I'll share with you guys. Here we go. So skip, and of course full screen, and it should be able to support the highest resolution that the video is recorded on. So again, 1080p HD is what my resolution is. That's how my video is encoded, and of course it fills the display as it's almost 16:9, but the aspect ratio is slightly different. Of course, all of that is normal, and if you don't want to be able to watch it in full screen, you can actually just minimize it, and of course minimize the entire experience, and then just have it floating and then use it the same way. So this is in a nutshell what Emui Desktop is able to provide us. And again, if you don't want to use this and you just want to be able to do screen mirroring, jump back into the notification panel and then jump back into normal phone mode, and everything goes back to normal. So this is plugging in the Galaxy S20 Ultra directly on our phone. What you'll notice obviously is that this is mirroring our phone right away. So I'm actually looking exactly at what's on my screen. I'm able to initiate all the normal things. So recent applications, go home. I'm able to open up the notification panel, and I'm also able to go home and of course launch normal things. So here it is, Google Home, and everything will work the way you normally expect it on your phone. You're also able to open up video applications and just do a straight screen mirroring. Now, The cool thing about this obviously is that even the mouse and keyboard that I showed you guys at the beginning works here right out of the box, even in this experience. But the best, of course, experience that we want to be able to experience here is if you look in the notification panel, it says Samsung DeX is available. So we'll go ahead and just open it up right here and we'll say switch over to DeX experience. Now, this is different than DeX on PC. I'm explaining that this is purely the experience itself, although if you use DeX on PC, this is pretty much the same UI and same interface, so you're not getting anything different. The only difference is it's running on your PC and you're using your standard keyboard and mouse from your PC to control it. This now would be very much what we would expect if, let's say, I wanted to connect it to a TV using an MHL adapter. And again, I did do a video for you guys a few days ago talking about the Zenture dock that enables us to actually have not only charging for our device, but also the ability of casting with basically compatibility for your PC also, if your PC supports USB-C mirroring for external displays. The experience here that we get is very straightforward. If you right click on the background, you have the cleanup page, you have sorting applications, and you notice right here, see there's a new notification that came through. You normally get everything that your phone will normally get. And of course, we're able to change our wallpaper, and there are specific ones made for DeX. This is the one that just came out of the box for me. We have the ability of pinning applications similarly to the way we've done it with other desktop experiences. We're also able to basically organize things if you want to be able to. So you notice there was a sort functionality here that I'm able to go in there. So basically by custom order, A to Z, or by type. So different type of applications. On the bottom left, we have access to a few toggles. By first, when you click DeX, this is basically the DeX, I would say, setup option functionalities that you have. We're able to lock our device. Basically, this just locks the phone. And of course, the ability of going into DeX Labs to enable a few functionalities. So here, my device is locked. I'll go ahead and basically unlock it. I'm using my fingerprint on my display, and it unlocks the experience for us exactly the way we expected. Now, exit DeX takes us directly back into our phone, so that's the desktop experience. And DeX Labs enables us to turn on a few experimental features. By default, not all applications on DeX will support full screen mode, so you do need to be able to force this option to be able to resize it. And of course, auto open a last app. This enables, basically gives you the ability, let's say you were running a few things here and you're basically wanting to jump back to your normal phone experience. This will remember what you had it before and open it up again for you. Pretty much straightforward here, not that much as far as experience. You can configure the keyboard, connecting which basically audio level or audio goes out from. You're able to go in here and just contacting us about DeX and how to use DeX if you basically have some concerns. And of course, the mouse pad and keyboard options as far as what you can do with it. After that, here we have access to the app drawer. Now, this one is a little bit more longer list than the other devices that I'm showing you, mostly because I just have more apps installed on this phone. Just keep that in mind. Access to recents, we are able to open up the recents applications, home and back very similarly. In DeX, it's actually present on the left side of the screen, where in EMUI it's present on the right. And if you notice also, of course, with Android 10, it's still experimental, but essentially it's present with just an app drawer on the left. And of course, we're able to open up Twitter, and one of the main benefit of having the DeX experience is the ability of actually using screen pinning. So on the keyboard, if you hold the Windows key and use the arrow, this is very similar to what we normally use on basically on Windows. So I'm able to basically kind of almost like snap the window into a screen, or half the screen if I want to be able to run multiple apps. So an example would be here. I want to launch, basically, here we are. We're opening Instagram. And I'm going to go ahead and open it up on the right side, and now I'm able to run Instagram and Twitter without necessarily much of having to work out and resizing things. Within EMUI, we do not have that experience right now. DeX supports this as part of some of the new functionalities that we have. So it's really good and very nice. And of course, the ability of just resizing the windows down to the level that you want. So you don't actually have any issues as far as resizing and opening up things like that. Both experiences here are providing us basically the best mobile experience. So mobile apps are obviously all that's running in the background. On the right side here, you're able to expand the notification. You have the access, obviously, to be able to do Power Director. That's the notification that came in. Obviously, I have another few notifications here coming in my notification panel. I have access to my alarm, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. Of course, I can click the option here to open it up, and we'll get that little more of a toggle. So very small version of what we normally have. We do have access, though, to the ability of turning on mobile hotspot. Do not disturb, of course, or dark mode is turned on by default, airplane, and of course flashlight. I'm not sure why flashlight becomes functional on a desktop experience where you're obviously not using your phone. The other thing, of course, is the ability of jumping into DeX Labs. That's the one thing that I showed you guys at the beginning there. And last but not least, if you do need to be able to invoke a keyboard where it's not invoked directly on your PC because you're using basically the mouse pad on the display, that's going to be basically where you're able to invoke it. And the cool thing is it will invoke on your smartphone, not just on the display. Controlling the sound, where the sound is actually sound coming out from, as we saw with the options in the settings, or of course just the ringtone, and of course media. the ability to take in screenshots, and of course search. That's going to be kind of like your finder. So essentially very, very simple. I'm very surprised that they used the word finder in here. Last but not least is the ability to basically just open it up a calendar, or of course just if you want to be able to shortcut this to something else. By default it does open up calendar if you click the time and the option there. Pretty much straightforward. Most of the applications that you're able to use on your phone will work here, with the exception of games. Gaming on this will definitely require a controller. Now, Netflix by default does not work full screen without the DeXLab functionality within Dex. That's something that you need to be aware of. And what I mean by this, essentially, if I just want to be able to launch it without it, it'll play video, but it'll play video in a smaller window. So what we're going to do for us here is I've already turned on Dex, the experimental function, as you guys saw before. Let's go ahead and open up something that does not require here. Let's open up Boss Baby and see how that one works. So you'll notice right there, the video is still running normal view, same thing before. I'll go ahead and hit play. And it did not open it up for full screen because that's how it's supposed to do. So I'll go ahead and click full screen. You notice because of DeXLab now it's going to restart the application. The window is much, much bigger. Sadly, it does actually stop the video, so you don't actually get a chance to be able to jump back straight into it. I'll go ahead and say play. And at this point, you'll notice the video plays full screen, normal way as we expected. So there is a workaround built into Dex. I'm not sure why it does not have native support for full screen Netflix, but I definitely appreciate the fact that it does work with a little bit of a workaround. I wish it was just on by default because I feel like everybody would want to be able to use apps in full screen, especially when it's a desktop-like experience. Of course, browsing the internet is going to be pretty standard. You can use the standard built-in Samsung browser. Again, full desktop experience, or let's go ahead and say, not now. I don't want to set it as a default. And of course, you're able to open up your normal applications, YouTube, Facebook, anything that you don't be able to, Amazon, Target applications. These are just standard shortcuts that have already been built in. Let's go ahead and open up the Walmart app. And will basically just take us to a desktop experience, very similar to what we would do if you were using it on your PC. So basically very, very nice. And if you're not, happy with it, you can do Alt-Tab, which takes us to basically the recents menu and the ability of jumping between apps. So both experiences are very, very nice. Or we can also use the recents application, which just gives us access to the full system. Last but not least, if you're done and you want to be able to jump back straight into your phone experience, you just click in, it says exit Dex and say OK. When we plug in our V60 directly into our MHL adapter, there's a few options. Obviously, the same way with the other devices, you're able to see your main display, you're able to record everything off of it. And of course, this actually just works wired the same way with the Dex experience as far as the Samsung devices. Only Emui Desktop supports wireless connectivity, and it's had for some time. But main benefit, of course, is the ability of opening up applications. So here we have Twitter, of course, Google Play Store, and of course opening up notification panel. This will work, and of course, if any application does support landscape mode experience, you're also able to support it very nicely and very quickly. Now, one thing you probably noticed when we opened up the notification panel is that there is an option that says screen sharing mode. Tap to open up desktop mode. So this is going to be the desktop experience within Android 10.0 right now. LG does have a secondary launcher that is built in separate from the desktop experience to launch with this, but you do need to basically connect it to an MHL adapter for it to even show up as far as in the options for you. So first and foremost, there is a way basically of adding applications here. The wallpaper is non-customizable. There's nothing that I can do if I right click on the background. On the bottom, we have the battery percentage as well as the date and time, but of course, nothing really functional there yet. This seems more of I would say like a version 1 or version 0.5 before the final version is available, but it actually does have some functionalities, and we'll definitely get a chance to see what they are today. As you saw, we're able to add applications here, shortcuts to be able to open up different applications. They do open up in normal window mode. So far seems to be, for me at least, most of the Google applications work very nicely to provide us a minimize, maximize, and of course the ability of resizing them. So I can go full screen here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to close it here. Let's go ahead and open it up. And you notice everything opens up from the right side. So everything kind of pops in from the right. Goes into full screen, same experience as if I'm using this application directly on my phone. Very easy, very simple. And of course I can minimize it if I'm not using it. Now, I did notice that Twitter for some reason does not seem to like to work here, so I can go ahead and try to open it up. The screen kind of opens and goes away, and I get a forced close directly on my phone. Brave does seem to work quite nicely, as well as YouTube, and you notice right there, here's my buddy Juan Carlos Fagnell from one of his live streams that he did not that long ago or so. Again, full screen, minimize, and of course resize. YouTube works the exact same way, and again, main benefit here is the ability of actually using applications in a functional way. On the bottom, we have a few buttons. We have back, home, and then basically your applications. So I'm able to open up the application drawer. And again, if you want to be able to add an app directly to your home screen, all you have to do is basically right click on it in the launcher. And of course, it just says add app to shortcut or add app shortcut. It'll take you straight to where you need to be. Other than that, you're just basically opening it up the way they are here. You can find Netflix. And we'll open up Netflix for us, see how that one works. Netflix does not provide us full screen experience, but it does actually open up in a Windows experience. So it's not a bad experience, it will work, but again, I feel like, again, this is a version 0.5 as opposed to a version 1.0, fully functional in the sense of what we normally expect from the other ones that have had many years of basically usage. Of course, when you're done, all you have to do is on your phone, jump back and click that little tab, and it'll take you back to your desktop experience on your phone. And I feel like at this point, this works quite well, or well enough that you're actually able to get a really good experience by just mirroring your display directly to the TV or the monitor that you want to connect it to. That was pretty much the experience that you're able to get from both DeX, EMUI, and Android 10.0 desktop. All three of them are actually, for the most part, working. I feel like even though there's some shortcomings in each one of their systems, I feel like all three of them are actually functional, and functional to a certain extent. I feel like EMUI, well, let's say DeX and the EMUI desktop obviously have had many iterations over the years. This is not their first release, this is just their latest release. And of course, they've basically perfected the EMUI desktop or the even DeX experience to a certain extent. So let's talk a little bit more about those as soon as we also cover the fact that Android 10.0 right now is still in its infancy when it comes to basically a desktop experience. It is functional, it is going to work, but it is basically going to be something that you need to kind of connect a mouse and keyboard to it to actually make it work. There's no desktop touchpad functionality that way we see it with other devices. So it's for the most part, I feel like this is a 0.5, almost a 1.0 beta release, but it is available and it is functional if you want to be able to use it on the go. The LG V60 did a great job of providing us that experience without having to force it. It included a launcher for it, it included some functionalities, and my hope essentially is that with updates, we should be able to use it a lot more. Now, let's start focusing a little bit more between DeX and EMUI desktop, which I feel like a lot of people will basically be wanting to find out basically which one is better. I feel like they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. I feel like where DeX has the functionality of being able to use it on the PC, so you have DeX on PC, link to Windows, all of those things that you normally get with Samsung devices, and I feel like that's where the forte comes in there. Also has the ability of obviously having resizing the screens now, so they did fix the issue with applications not being supported for resizing. It is kind of working on its own version, so it actually does a really good job for being I would say a laptop experience. If you're using something like a Next Dock, you can actually even use it as a desktop experience on that laptop and not even know a difference and still charge your device. So I feel like there's been so many more optimizations done for the DeX experience that it actually works really well. Comparing it to the EMUI experience, this is where it kind of gets a little bit different. There is no wireless mode, so that's something that is only available to the EMUI side. So I would probably say if you're looking for something that does support wireless mode, meaning connecting it to a TV, the way I'm showing you guys right now, and actually being able to use the desktop experience with a supported TV, I feel like the EMUI desktop right now on Honor and Huawei devices that do have that built in will work the best. But otherwise, I feel like DeX is very powerful, and it actually should be able to do almost anything and everything that you want it to do. And of course, it is getting better as time goes on. So let's switch over to the EMUI desktop experience and start talking about their, basically benefits and shortcomings. Now, as far as overall experience, again, it's been iterated a few times. We've seen many updates there. It is supported via wired and wireless, but it does not have a PC experience. I feel like DeX is pretty much going to be the best experience there. So DeX pretty much mastered the wired functionality because it not only works as just a straight desktop experience, you can use it with a Next Dock, you can use it on your PC, and you can use it on the TV as long as you're using an MHL type of an adapter or even connecting it to the PC with the DeX app, the DeX for PC. But I feel like Huawei did actually take that step over by going into the wireless mode. So that's where the main benefit. You don't have to connect it to a wire. You could just basically launch it, be on the same Wi-Fi as your TV. As long as it supports screen mirroring, you're able to cast your desktop experience and of course use your phone as a touchpad, which is something you can also do on DeX. So that's basically where they kind of excel in certain areas where others don't. So if you want a wireless experience, I feel like EMUI desktop is pretty much the only option right now. If you're looking for basically the best wired experience, I feel like there's almost like a toss-up between the two, as the functionalities are very much the same. Although I feel like full screen application support is much better on EMUI than it is on Samsung. Samsung requires the whole restarting app like I showed you guys with Netflix. But again, that's something that could be fixed down the road. If we have to summarize everything, we basically say which one is the winner, it's really always going to come down to what you need and what you basically value the most as far as the functionality. If you want a desktop experience, this is pretty much the best that you can get right now. B, if you're looking to be basically more wireless, you want to be able to do things wirelessly to a TV, I feel like EMUI is pretty much your only one. If you're looking for something to work on your PC, meaning a DeX on PC experience, I think, again, DeX will be basically the only one available there. Those are the two kind of outliers if you think about it. There's the baseline where they all work with basically an MHL adapter to a monitor or TV, but when you want to be able to get wireless, DeX, EMUI goes in there. If you want to be able to go wire to a PC, DeX kind of wins it there. None of them require a dock. All of them will work with a standard MHL that supports DeX or even EMUI Desktop. But I feel like that's basically where it's going to end up being. Whatever that specific feature that you value the most will drive you to basically pick which ecosystem you want to be able to work with. Keep in mind that none of these features are actually transferable. You cannot install them on any other third-party devices. It has to be either a Samsung, a Huawei / Honor, or even an LG device right now. Although the Android 10.0 experience could actually be a lot better with Android 11, or even with future updates if Google puts in a little bit more development into basically making it more refined and just fixing some of those little hiccups that are actually basically there as far as app compatibility and so on. Let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite device. I'm hoping you guys enjoyed this video. It's a little bit long, but I felt like I haven't seen anybody doing a comparison between the 3 different ecosystems to this level. So I'm hoping I covered all your questions. If I haven't, please make sure to hit me up in obviously in the comments below. Like and subscribe and share this with all your friends. And of course, I'll see you guys in the next video.